In this video, we're going to be looking at the new AI image generation update that has been released by Grok 2.0, and we're going to be comparing it to ChatGPT's DALL-E, and we're going to be comparing it directly using prompts that are exactly the same that have been used both on Grok 2.0 and with DALL-E. And then once I've shown you what those images look like coming out of DALL-E, we're going to go ahead and do a straight comparison shot by shot of what they look like, which one we think is better, what we think is worse, and then at the end of the day, when we get to the final bit, decide which is best. These are the 8 prompts that I had from these previous videos, so we're just going to go straight in, not waste any time. Now, the one thing that I do like about the Grok update is that this AI image generation is just stupidly fast. I say that, DALL-E has just made that super fast as well. So this is the first image. It has a cartoony look to it a little bit, but it is detailed. It is very good. It looks sort of like I don't know, like a wet painting or something, but I love the detail and the sea here, the sunlight coming through, and it does look striking. It just looks a bit cartoony and very different to the X version of that using Grok. So like I said, we'll compare them straight away after. Okay, I like this effect that it's gone for here. Again, I'm not expecting it to look super realistic, but I love the art style and I love the way it's captured it here with sort of like a light exposure it's got going on with the camera. That is really stunning, actually. Okay, that's very beautiful, actually. Love the detail going down the binder here as well. The pages look very individual and they actually have depth to them. That's actually, I'm quite surprised by that. I wasn't expecting it to look that good, even the candle and it dripping in the background, the wax. I do love that, and even the little window there. Okay, that's again a lot better than I thought it would be. That looks very beautiful. So it's not as pronounced as the other image that came out of Grok, not as detailed, but I actually would say I possibly prefer this. It has sort of like a vintage color feel or filter over it, actually. Looks very beautiful. I'd say there looks a bit weird, jaw or mouth open with the line there. That's quite weird. But aside from that, hands are blurred together again, a little bit the same. But again, I like the body shape coming through the legs there, because obviously if you've got like a red flowy dress and it's quite thin and it's summer, then obviously you're gonna see, especially at that light, you're gonna see shadows, you're gonna see body parts, whatever, but you're gonna see if it's pronounced or not. And this here is actually called it really detailed. That's really interesting. Actually, this has followed the prompt better, but the style of it looks a little bit more cartoony, I would say, to an extent. More on the stars as well, because the stars are more individualized in the Grok version. But again, I mean, we'll compare it after, but I'm pretty impressed with that detail. There's damage, it definitely feels more isolated. Okay, that's come out actually very well. Love the art style. The only thing I don't like, I don't know if it's tried to replicate the water or the water droplets, but on the table, instead of it being a reflection, maybe it's trying to make it look like a reflection, but it actually is on the table. So that bit's wrong, and I said again there. But again, the one thing Grok didn't have the smoke or the steam coming off of it. But again, as overall, if you look over the table bit there, and you see on the window, looks really good. This here, and actually to make it fair, in the other video, I did regenerate one image. So if I put in here, remove the water droplets on the wooden table. No, it hasn't. I would say it's actually made it worse, annoyingly, because then you've got the rain on the inside. Oh well, at least we tried. First image is better, second one's a fail. Ooh, okay, again, this has come out very well. Very, very well. Love the lighting. I love the detail on the castle. Looks a little bit, I'm not gonna say colorized, or it looks more vintage. I'd say vintage, but the mountains in the background has real good depth to the back of the image, makes it look very far away, isolated, but romanticized at the same time. Love the angle of the sun coming down as well, lighting up the castle, the clouds. I would say that's a very striking image, very beautiful. That actually reminds me of Crysis, the game Crysis, and a mixture of Halo. So I'd say it looks a little bit more, not cartoony, maybe it is vintagey 80s style, I'm not sure. But I love the color here. I love the fire in the background. You've got a jet going off in the top right. You have as well the color contrast of, again, the fire hitting the face of the mask even. Love the contrast, love the red. And I think it does look really good. I love the weapon as well. So what we're gonna do now is get the images and image by image and decide which one's better. On the left here is where you're gonna have all of the images from DALL-E. On the right are all the images from Grok. This is the night, and I have to say, I think that I like the color here in the sense of there's more light, but in the sense of what looks more realistic and what looks more dramatic in the way that it follows the prompt, I would say it's the one by Grok. I just think the detail, though it's a little bit lower resolution, you can see here just on the rocks, the way the waves are. I just think it follows the prompt as is, and it just looks more realistic. It looks more striking in the sense of how it looks. This looks more like a colored in one with color pastels or water pastels, whatever you call it. So now we have the second shot, which is the cyberpunk city. Now again, I would actually say the quality of the shot probably goes towards Grok a little bit, but my actual preference of what I think looks better is actually from DALL-E, because I love the color contrast. It's got the blue, the purple, the pink. It has a little bit more flare, or that's for lens flare on the highway here. I think that looks beautiful. I love that it's got the lower level there of the highway with the underpass, and the other one looks a little bit boring, tiny bit. It looks a little bit like just very cyberpunk, but I've seen it sort of thing. So that goes to DALL-E in my opinion. Now this, I thought Grok would win hands down, but, and I have got to say a but, this here by DALL-E, this shot did blow me away actually, because the detail, it's the consistency of the detail on the binding here. It looks beautiful, I actually have to say. I think the one, even the detail on the cover, the thickness of it, it just looks real. It just looks, yeah, very realistic shot, very different to the first type of shot, that from the night from DALL-E. So it shows it can read certain stuff well, even the wood there. But then again, you come over to Grok, and I love the detail there. I love the writing in the book and the blurry background that it has. I like the candles. I actually think this has more character to it a little bit because of the window and the more candles, and the light looks a little bit more balanced. But that's still pulling at me. I'm actually gonna put that as a draw, actually. I'm gonna put that as a draw. The detail of the person, it is Grok's image. Look at the color of the skin, the outfit, the body line, it just looks very consistent, and the flowers there and the lights. But then again, go over here, now the jawline really irritates me with this shot on DALL-E. It's like she's got an extra mouth or something. And then I can't really say much about the hands, because the hands over here as well are pretty awful. So again, give or take a little bit of the same. The arm as well looks a little bit, you see it's just sticking out a little bit there. Like, what's that? But love the light coming through with the trees. I think that looks beautiful. Love the way it's hitting the background, the lighting up the ground here where she's walking. I think as well, the flowers here on the right. Yeah, very, I have to say, very good. I love the flowers there, but I think personally, I love the one from DALL-E. I'm gonna give that to DALL-E, actually. This, in terms of what read the prompt better, was from DALL-E. Void of space, looking more lonely, isolated, what have you. But then the quality, this shot from Grok looks more clean. It looks more safe. It doesn't look as dark, as void, or as alone. I love the detail of the stars and the colors in the background there. But in terms of understanding the prompts, I think DALL-E actually gave me it better. Details better, or cleaner image is from Grok. But in terms of what I've asked for, I would say from DALL-E. It's just the details of the finish. Like if I could put those stars from there over there, I would say that would look better and less just clumpy. I'm gonna put that as a draw for different reasons. Right, now we're moving on to the coffee shot. For me, though, I like the warmth of this image from DALL-E and how it looks again. I wish it had that smoke effect there. I actually think the overall quality image, and again, that did annoy me with the water on the table. That does irritate me. I don't know why that's there. But you could argue, is that it, or was that just marks on the table? I'm gonna put that as marks on the table there. Anyway, in terms of the image, for me, the coffee shot from Grok looks better because it's more detailed in the sense of what I asked for, the water and the minimalist details. I would say what I'm noticing here, Grok is making the images, it is doing the images as I've asked, but it's more clean. It's like more refined, more minimalist to some extent. Whilst here it looks a little bit more lived in, it looks a little bit more added detail in a different way. It's got more stuff going on in it, with textures and this and that. but it's just not as a clean image. So if DALL-E could go and refine this and make it a clean image, but keeping the stuff that it's got in there, I would say they've got great potential there. And I love the detail outside the window, but for me, it goes to Grok on this one, but I do think it's a beautiful image, but that annoyed me with the water also. Right, down to the castle now. This one is gonna be a hard one. Okay, for realism, I would say Grok. Just look at the castle more here. If we zoom in, that goes a little bit pixelated, I know, but just look at that. This, when you zoom in, it's got a different color style here. And then on the side over here, it's got more of a, it looks like a watercolor or something, like an animation, just on the corners there. And then up there, it lets itself down. But the colors here, beautiful. The consistency, not as good. The images in the background of the mountain look awesome. I will give them that, and the light on the side. But that there on the castle itself, granted, when you zoom in, it looks a little bit pixelated, but for consistency of the whole image from Grok, I would say it is better. And I think the colors, though I did want it to be more saturated, I did say in the previous video, this is too dark and too saturated for me personally, and it just looks weird with the watercolors, so no. I would say, yeah, Grok wins that. So let's go on to the final one. Again, I would say this looks more 80s style, I guess, if that's what it was going for, more what I'd see on the front cover of a gaming game or something. But yeah, I don't know. I think as a cleaner overall image, again, it's Grok. I'm gonna go with Grok because I prefer how it looks. It looks clean, refined, more modern, more realistic. And though I like the color contrast on the suit of armor from DALL-E and it going off there, it looks a little bit too intense. I would like it a little bit less. Sort of how those colors are on the, I guess, the rocket ship there, that little bit less bright, but that's just my personal taste. This looks more consistent, more muted, but then that actually what grabs my attention more, and it did ask specifically as well for the red sort of fierce eyes in the mask. This wins that, and that's still, if I'm looking at the two now, that draws my attention more than that. So Grok wins that, but there we go. I wasn't keeping score in my head really of who won, who didn't. So as an overall, my final conclusion, I would say refined images, Grok is better for consistency. However, when you get the shot right with DALL-E or the prompt right, it looks striking, it looks beautiful. The colors look a little bit vivid and it has like a lived in feel to it, which I like. Grok does miss that a little bit. So is there a clear winner? Depends what you're looking for. I think overall for consistency right now in the image, though it lacks a little bit of warmth in places, it's Grok, because of just the consistency of the quality of the image, and it produces it pretty fast. I mean, to be fair, ChatGPT generates the image pretty fast with DALL-E as well, but if it had more consistency, like again with the book, with the red dress, even the coffee shot to some extent, minus the water on the table, it would be better. And overall, I think they're both amazing pieces of software that you should go and have a look at. I think they both offer something different. What I would like to see Grok bring in the updates is like you can in DALL-E, go to areas of the image, be very precise with the little handle, whatever it's called, and you can say, I want you to change this specific bit instead of the whole image. So that's something I would like to see. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.